They don't structure their weeks, their days, their months as efficient as possible. They allow other clients to command their time versus them commanding their own. They do not have a consistent prospecting campaign. They do not have a integrated presence marketing uh, effort. They don't. They pitch the same way all the competitors do. I can say that without a doubt because I see almost every competitor out there. We're lucky. They have to be our clients, right? What they're pitching. And they certainly don't ever think about stepping back, working on their business and delegating to a team. They don't think about that. They think they should do it all. And those are all bottlenecks. And that's not just brokers, that's most entrepreneurs, by the way.
Welcome to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals who work with investors, buyers, and sellers of commercial real estate coast to coast. Whether you're an investor, broker, lender, property manager, attorney, or accountant, we're here to learn from the experts.
Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name is J. Darren Gross. This is a podcast focused on commercial real estate investment and risk management strategies. Weekly, we have conversations with commercial real estate investors and professionals who provide their experience and insight to help you grow your real estate portfolio. Today's interview is sponsored by Building Insurance and Risk. When you invest in real estate, it pays to work with a real estate investor protection specialist to protect yourself and your investment from catastrophic loss. The experts at Building Insurance and Risk focus on real estate investor protection. They provide you with multiple insurance coverage offers and a side-by-side coverage comparison. To learn more, go to buildinginsurancerisk.com. Today, my guest is Rod Santomassimo. Rod is the founder of the Massimo Group, the leading coaching organization for commercial real estate brokers worldwide. He is a 5-time best-selling author, a patented inventor, and a former Division I athlete. And in just a minute, we're going to speak with Rod Santomassimo about how commercial real estate brokers can use AI to improve their deal flow. But first, a quick reminder, if you like our show, CREPN Radio, there are a couple things you can do to help us out. You can like, share, and subscribe, and as always, we encourage you to leave a comment. We'd love to hear from our listeners. Also, if you want to see how handsome our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And while you're there, please subscribe. With that, I want to welcome my guest, Rod Santomassimo. Welcome back to CREPN Radio.
Well, Darren, thank you so much for having me back. And now that I have to go put some makeup on that we're on YouTube, I guess, but it's good. It's great. It's great to be here.
No, you're eye candy for this channel, so everybody's going to be wanting to see Rod Santomassimo. But Rod, I'm looking forward to our conversation. And but before we get started, if you could take just a minute and share with the listeners a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I have a pretty diverse background. After graduating from Duke with my MBA in the late 80s, yes, I'm that old. I did a lot of things, including commercial real estate brokerage. Was a COO of a telecom firm that we took public. I was a CFO of a malpractice law firm. Talk about insurance, a malpractice law firm, and a lot of other gigs along the way. My last gig before starting the Massimo Group was a executive vice president for international brokerage firm, back then Sperry Van Ness, now SVN, and that was about 18 years ago. And then I started the Massimo Group to help take all those business understandings of how to create a profit and help apply that to individual brokers so they can, well, enhance their income, yeah, but hopefully make more money in less time and a lot more money.
Awesome. Well, I got to ask you, with your was it lacrosse you played?
I did, yes.
So you got to share with the audience your career NIL money here. How much did you bank in that?
You know, the school, I can go back to 1986 when the school had me and my picture and image on the top of the program. I wonder if I can go back now and sue them for using my image.
Try and collect. Yeah, good luck with that. So, well, that's great. I'm again delighted to have you back and looking forward to our conversation. So the last time we spoke, this is what I kind of remember. You shared a little bit about when you started the Massimo Group, And at the time, the what I remember was using some virtual assistants to get kind of a list going and trying to get your marketing going. And we don't have to spend, everything on AI, but it was one of the things on the topics of potential topics that were presented on the invite to have you here. And I'm curious. Well, and let's back up. Let's not go jump right in that.
Okay.
I think the proper place probably to start is talking about a typical real estate broker. Uh, what is it that they see, their kind of their workflow, their habits, kind of the, how they position themselves in the market?
Yeah, look, it just is what it is. Most, use the term most, you're talking about the average and the commodities, and that's what the most brokers are, right? They're not authorities, they're commodities. And they live in a world where they grind, and grinding is good. Grinding is great, but only to a certain point, right? So what you see is most brokers don't have an effort issue. Some do, don't get me wrong, but they really have more of a structural issue, a processing lack of issue, pipeline, presentations, their presence, their marketing, all those things they really haven't sat down and said, all I do is chase deals on the transaction treadmill. And I never really think about building a business. And we find that 20 years, that's why when folks come to us, they say, how can you make them so much more profitable? It's really understanding we're not here to chase transactions. We're here to build a business. You are, your investors are, your insurance colleagues are. They all want to build a business, and that's where we see the opportunities for brokerage.
So in that, is there like is it a structure about the way they work, or is it about kind of a more of an understanding of how to position themselves in the marketplace, or how to, integrate? What's kind of the fundamental difference between being a group?
There are all the bottlenecks, and each individual is different. But yeah, they don't structure their weeks, their days, their months as efficient as possible. They allow other clients to command their time versus them commanding their own. They do not have a consistent prospecting campaign. They do not have a integrated presence marketing effort. They don't. They pitch the same way all the competitors do. I can say that without a doubt because I see almost every competitor out there. We're lucky. They have to be our clients, right? What they're pitching. And they certainly don't ever think about stepping back, working on their business and delegating to a team. They don't think about that. They think they should do it all. And those are all bottlenecks. And that's not just brokers. That's most entrepreneurs, by the way, have those restrictions.
Yeah. No, I know I've witnessed it, been in the bottleneck and seen it, and like you said, it's not unique to commercial real estate brokers. I think it's kind of the fundamental of if somebody's good at sales and thinks that maybe they should start a business or something like that, and don't really understand all the aspects of growing a business. They understand how to sell and they're good at sales, but not really how to get support staff or even additional salespeople, and how to train them, and how to get more of a team aspect, but more of it, hey, it works for me, good luck.
Yeah, I
Here's
think the default response is, here's why this won't work. Why I shouldn't hire people. They'll just leave anyway and take my stuff and become a competitor, right? Well, why I shouldn't build a marketing effort? I don't need to be on social media. That's a waste of time, right? Why make calls? Calls don't work. There's always reasons why not to do things. There always is. But
right.
those that are curious think, wow, what would happen if I do this? And if I do this and I lend this? That's where we see the opportunities, which they are. Those are the opportunities for everybody.
Yeah. So in your experience in working with brokers, um, ha, I guess, is there a kind of a central philosophy that the Massimo Group kind of kind of a north star for your clients, and how to create consistent deal flow? Is there
Yeah.
a,
There's two things we do. First of all, one of my coaches, and yes, I get coached. I'd be crazy if I didn't get coached. I'd be a hypocrite, right? How can I coach thousands of folks and not be coached? So one North Star is, and I truly believe this because I see it every day. If you give yourself 3 years, it may sound like an eternity, but 3 years it goes like that, right? I can remember 2023 like it was yesterday, right? It's just scary. It goes post-pandemic, things were coming out, and now we're 3 years later. Give yourself 3 years. So the first thing we do, Darren, is we have them all complete a 3-year vision statement. And 3 years from now, the ideal scenario is this for both my business and my life. So once I understand that anchor of this is my vision for myself and my family and my business, well, then we can start working backwards. Okay, for these things to happen, this is what we need to have in place in 3 years, in 2 years, in 1 year, in 6 months, right? In a quarter. It's easy to do. So you said North Star. One is where do you want to be in 3 years? And to your audience, you can change your entire life, because we see it every day at Massimo in 3 years. It's crazy. But besides the 3 years, then we really focus on, okay, how do we pull you out of the chaos and the quagmire that will be any service oriented business, but entrepreneurially in commercial real estate brokerage. And we put you in a position of clarity and confidence and consistency. And so what does that look like? And being the CEO of your own business versus the one that's doing everything, right? So I think those are the two North Stars we look at to help our clients get out of the whirlwind.
yeah. No, and I'm curious too with the in your mind, or I mean, in your experience, um, the business is, I mean, selling real estate is real estate is real estate. I mean, real estate is it's buyers and sellers. It's um, dollars and making a deal work. It's where the market is where the buyers and sellers meet. I mean, that's
Mhm.
always the case. And so in that, if when you get people that are working more of the kind of the with a vision and kind of a plan and kind of an activity based kind of a thing on what they need to do in order to get where they want to be, how what would you expect someone's kind of before they start seeing results? It's easy to say, okay, in 3 years I want to be here, make the plan, but in order to have like kind of like that carrot, obviously 3 years is the goal,
Yeah.
but to actually see some evidence that my actions are producing some results and I can see it, it makes me even more motivated to do more because I want to really get there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the first thing we do with all our clients is we put them on our fast track so they can recoup their investment in coaching within 90 days, right? Now, they actually get the money within 90 days? No, but will they get the opportunities on their pipeline? Yes. So we create a series of exercises to immediately fill their pipeline so they can see, okay, I can see already I've already gotten the opportunities to offset the investment in coaching. Everything after this is gravy. It is. So that's the first thing you have to give them the quick wins. You do. So what can we do immediately? And this works. It just works. And it's amazing. So Darren, I don't coach anyone anymore. Well, we have 35 coaches who coach all our clients. But when I come into group coaching sessions and I say, okay, how many have done our fast track exercises? And 30% raise their hands, right? I said, have you paid back your coaching? They all say yes. I look at the other 70% and go, what's the issue here? I go, oh, does that stuff really work? So that's the thing. When you invest in something, you got to commit to doing things differently. If you can't commit, you shouldn't invest.
Yeah. Well, I know I shared with you before we started recording. I've had a couple of your clients on, Alan Buchanan and Bo Beery,
Yeah, great
and
guys. Great guys.
great guys. Love those guys, and just how they have. I mean, when I talk to them, I recognize there's a focus and there's a direction and there's no question about where they're headed. I mean, and how they've been able to position themselves as an authority in the marketplace
Yeah,
and
but they also, Darren, had two completely different stories, right? Allie Buchanan seasoned guy. Right? And when he came to us, he was around my age, right? So seasoned guy, early 60s, killing it. He was killing it, but he knew he could get more of his relationships, his skills, his knowledge, and that not just the back half, the last 10 years of his career. So it was a different scenario. And working with us, knock on wood, he was so committed and so disciplined. He quadrupled his income. It was already really impressive. He quadrupled his income doing these things. And then Bo Beery, when he first came to us, he was working 60 hours a week. He had 2 kids. He was never seeing his wife. He says he was falling asleep at traffic lights on the way home, right? But he had like 80, 90 deals a year. Well, now that's changed. He's working 40 hours a week. He's got, at most, he's got a team, a couple of folks working with him, not for him, with him. And he's working on less deals, but much higher value. And he's making significantly more money. So yes, both incredible results. But the point of me sharing that is, and I'm not selling, I'm telling anyone out there, any entrepreneur, any investor, any insurance broker, doesn't matter where you are, 3 years, you can change everything. I mean, everything.
Yeah. No, that's encouraging, and again, the proof to actually see people that have done it, and it's again, it's I know just my own work. There are times when I'm more focused and more committed, and just the activity leads to the output, and it just takes a plan and stick to the plan and make it work. And actually I like the coaching thing too, though, having somebody to hold your feet to the fire, because it's really easy to get distracted or to fall off the plan, or to have, like you said, the reasons why not, as opposed to the reasons why kind of thing. So
I just posted on LinkedIn yesterday. I know I'm 63 next week.
Happy
I'm 60.
birthday.
Here's the thing. I'm 63 on 6/3, and I was born in 1963. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a crazy birthday. but I've gone to the gym since high school, since playing lacrosse in college. I realized I've gone to the gym for almost 45 straight years, right? I have every week, minimum of, until I had a major accident or something, a minimum of 3 to 5 days a week, every week, right? But I just hired a fitness coach for the second time in my life last week. I said, you know what? I've gotten stagnant. I've gotten bored. I've gotten comfortable. And I leave that coach every session I'm sweating my ass off, number one, going, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know it was an exercise. You think you know so much because you do it all the time. You don't. You don't know what you don't know. And that just costs you so much time, effort, money. So yeah, that's why I love the coaching aspect.
Well, and what you mentioned there, the comfort, even though you're doing something, it's really easy to get comfortable in what you're doing and not recognize whether it be your technique or whatever it is, you're falling off without having somebody to kind of give you some input, some sort of eyes on what's going on there. That's good.
Absolutely.
So we talked to, kind of the coaching versus, just kind of what guys are doing and stuff. The question I want to ask you is about AI, artificial intelligence. And I mean, I know some people are using it, almost like exclusively to, like, every decision they make. Others are kind of the slow skis and kind of using it more like a search. How are you seeing AI integrate with commercial real estate, and how are the brokers you see using it use it?
Yeah, well, yes, it's true. Many brokers aren't using it, right? It is the scare factor or the thought process that it's a fad. I know Darren, you may not remember this, but remember when AOL first came out, and you wait, and some of the people on this podcast have no idea what I'm talking about.
Dude.
Yeah, right. And you waited 15, 20 minutes to get a connection, and then every response took, right? People said the internet was a fad. They did, right? AI is not going away. It's not. And you got to understand, what AI is today is the very worst it's ever going to be. It's just a fact. what it is next year is the very worst it's ever going to be. So I think first of all, you have to accept it. Get on the skis, get over the skis, and accept AI is here. Brokers, many brokers haven't accepted it. Accepted it. Many who have are still using it, as you said, as a Google search more than anything else, and helping them write emails. Great, right? That's fine. Or even writing an offer letter, or maybe diagnosing a lease. There's better ways to do that, by the way. But doing all that. But others now through the evolution of AI and now Claude Cowork and Claude Code and realizing you can integrate and actually get things done while you're doing something else and have these agentic type, not quite agents, but agentic type of task being done for you. We're seeing that now. So, but how we've developed AI for our clients, our coaching clients. Yeah, we have all the bots, the closing bots and the library bots. And actually I'm really excited because in June or July, we haven't determined yet. We got beta tested a little more. We're going to introduce the first ever true AI coach for commercial real estate brokers. I mean, this thing is not going to be a chat bot. It's going to be a coach. And what it is already, we've already beta tested it and people are loving it. So we're going to put that out to the public in June or July. But what we've also done about a year ago, and we're always enhancing, is we created a platform for our clients. And this is where the brokers need to understand where we're going. When they get a listing or an exclusive or a tenant rep, but let's go listing, and for property owners listening to this show today, they are sharing with those owners, I don't need a 6-month, 12-month exclusive, right? Which is the standard. I get that, right? But all I need is 30 days, maybe 60 days to truly market this property to everyone. Because why? Because AI will accelerate everything, will automate everything. We now have, and we're FCC in compliance, and this is a big risk issue we'll talk about. We're in compliance with FCC, where now our clients, their bots can have text communication and phone call conversation with investors to get the answers their client wants within minutes versus months. So I think if you're an investor listening to this podcast, you have to ask your broker, help me understand. Great sentence from Chris Voss in Never Split the Difference. That's where that came from. Help me understand how you are leveraging AI to my benefit. You should ask your broker that. And if they can articulate a true differentiation besides a chatbot, go find another broker because they'll get done quicker and better than the existing broker will.
Yeah, no, that to actually leverage that technology and again, asking that question, how are they using it to better help you? That's great. And sadly, I think that's kind of I don't mean sadly. I think as a consumer, whether it be, as a real estate investor or healthcare or whatever, it's really upon each one of us to have more questions to ask the provider, whoever is, to understand, because I think there's a lot of times where, if we had asked, we would have gotten more, or, there would have been some reaction. Somebody would have been thinking more broadly. And, I think, as a provider, I'm in sales, I sell insurance, to be aware of and be able to respond to those, because those questions are coming. A lot of them are coming because people have done their homework on Chat GPT.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm getting questions like, where did you come up with this? It's like, and that's going to be, that is the world that we're leaning into, and it's coming. And, so, but I think to be able to respond to those in a productive way that helps the consumer, the customer, the investor, whoever that you're dealing with, get the answers and be more satisfied and feel like their questions have been answered, will be helpful in building that trust to consummate the deal. So
Great.
that's
Agreed.
good. I got to ask you a question here. Just
Right.
we're recording this. What's today? Today is May 27th, 2026. Your view of just the real estate market, you know, give me kind of a little bit of what Rod Santomassimo sees as the real estate market in today, based on, there's kind of the COVID reset. The office market is kind of cuckoo right now, and I know I just read the paper. I say I read the paper. I got a notice on my phone
Right.
that told me that I don't say it's a trophy piece of real estate, but something that was sold in 22 for like 43 million was just bought, for like 11 million here in Portland.
Right.
So major reset going on in that. It seems to me like whenever there's the chaos in the marketplace, while it's troubling if you're the one on the losing side, the opportunity that exists is the kind of what real estate brokers and investors need to focus on. What's Rod Santomassimo's view of the marketplace today?
Yeah, there's the macro view and the micro view, certainly, and it's a significant difference. So the macro view is, yes, and I read online, not in the paper, but I read online just yesterday how the banks are stopping this idea of pretend and extend with their debt. And most banks are now saying we're selling off the assets. It's just what we have to do. You're a perfect example in Portland with that one asset, right? Banks are now facing delinquencies they've been putting off for years. And that creates great opportunities and transactions for the brokerage community. It just does. At the other end, that's a macro perspective. It is. And there is this fear of the hybrid workforce and people coming back, but they're coming back. I mean, the big employers are now commanding, you want to work here, you're going to come back 3, 4, maybe 5 days a week. So that's coming back. Downtowns, depending on which town you're looking at, are either struggling or getting revitalized because of either data centers or AI or back to office. They are. Retail, which was dead a few years ago, is now the flavor of the month. Apartments were the greatest things in sliced bread, are still strong. They are, but not ever as strong as they used to be, especially with interest rates where they are today. So, but what I find is every single market has its own different challenges. Everyone was so, and this is a non-political statement, so please understand this. Everyone was so concerned in New York with their new mayor, right? Their socialist mayor has been labeled, right? And I'm not saying good or bad. I'm a capitalist through and through, by the way. But the fact is, some of his policies have actually created more opportunities from the development side than people thought would happen. There's been the death of velocity hasn't happened as much there as people had feared. So while there's still being an exodus from New York. So the point of using New York versus other cities that are doing really well now, because data centers are building cities out with AI. So we've always said real estate is a local equation. It just is. The one national equation or variable has always been interest rates. That's it. But I think you would agree, Darren, interest rates are relative to our lifetime. Interest rates are pretty good right now.
Yeah, they're not the hurdle right now. I think it's like you said, in our lifetimes. I mean, clearly, if you're looking at the last Fed at zero cycle we were in, kind of thing, it's a shock. But this is a pretty even market as far as an interest rate market goes. But yeah, I think it's interesting for me because I like to think of myself as a capitalist, but I'm also a consumer. And I think as a consumer, I like predictable, what am I dealing with kind of thing. As a capitalist, recognizing the opportunity and like, oh my God, things are on sale right now. And having the vision to recognize the opportunity and how things will improve based on historical and just, like we're talking like this office reset. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but like you mentioned, employers are saying, no, you got to be here. We need people, butts in the seats. And I think that there is a migration. It'll likely be some version of a hybrid going forward. I think at least in the near term, just based on we've gotten away from the office. Now we're trying to get back in the office. I know traffic is definitely increasing. It's back to what it was pre-COVID. But it's recognizing the opportunity in the change as opposed to the the fearing the change. I think that's the I guess the rose-colored glasses, kind of thing that I've come to recognize is the opportunity is in the chaos and in the change. It's not in the steady. The steady is nice for predicting, like my expenses, but the opportunity to really, to really make something an investment is in the chaos. If you can, buy on the when things are at the bottom and get a reset, and even when you're buying at these lower values, the interest rates, I mean, it's not a deal at all. I mean, it's not an issue at all. It's more about if you're trying to buy at the top end of the market and you're, you know, you're struggling to make the interest work there. But anyway, appreciate your input on that. Rod, as I mentioned, by day I'm an insurance broker.
Yep.
And I'd like to shift gears here for a second. In essence, I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk. And there's three strategies we typically consider. We first look to see if there's a way we can avoid the risk. When that's not an option, we look to see if there's a way we can minimize the risk. And if we cannot avoid nor minimize, we look to see if we can transfer the risk. And that's what an insurance policy is. It's a risk transfer vehicle. And as such, I like to ask my guests if they can look at their own situation. Could be your clients, could be the Fed, could be political, whatever it is you identify and consider to be the biggest risk. And again, for clarification, while I'm an insurance broker, I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance-related answer. And so if you're willing,
Sure.
I'd like to ask you, Rod Santomassimo, what is the biggest risk?
I think by far the biggest risk today is what we talked about. It's AI. AI is the biggest risk, and there's different risks. You mentioned the three forms of risk, right? So the risk from an AI, from a business perspective, there's the adaptability risk. If I do not adapt to the AI, what's the true risk to my business? While it can be said some sectors are AI proof, right? The girl who cuts my hair, right? Maybe she needs an AI reception bot to make sure that I could be there on time, right? And their schedule is clear. So she's not really AI proof. She's not. But there's that adaptability risk. How adaptable is your service, your product to AI? And if you don't do anything about it, what's the impact, the risk of your business bottom line? There's certainly the implementation risk, right? So I'm adaptable now, I implement. If I implement the risk, what's the cost going to be? What's the timing going to be? I'm working on something right now. I wrote to developers and said, did you realize I announced this in November 2024? So now we're 18 months and you still haven't delivered? I would never have thought that when I announced it in November of something we're working on with AI, right? So that risk, implementation risk, really matters. If you think you can go and develop an AI platform overnight, I don't care if you're using Lovable or Claude Code, it's not a truly scalable platform, right? And the third, without doubt, is compliance risk, and that comes in several forms. First, there's those that use AI chatbots and it outputs something that's total crap. They call it chat crap, and you post it, right? Or you share it with the client as fact, right? So now you look like an idiot. It's just what it is, right? There's also a compliance risk, and us dealing with the FCC and seeing all the hurdles you have to take to truly leverage AI as text bots and call bots. You do not want to be on the wrong side of compliance risk. That's going to cost you dearly, right? Especially if you're doing international work. Like, what are the rules and regulations in Canada compared to the US are vastly different. They are. In fact, we pulled our AI bots off for a while in Canada and have recently put them back on because we're in compliance. Something called can spam that can cost you millions. So that's what I mean by risks. When you look at those risks, the adaptability, implementation, the compliance, those are risks I'm thinking about every single day and how we handle those risks from a business building standpoint.
Well, I love what you just said there, and new phrase for me, the chat crap. I mean,
Chat crap.
I I think I've witnessed a little bit of that, and there seems to be there's going to be a lot more of that. So good.
There will be, but like everything else, this is the worst it's ever going to be. It
Yeah,
just
no, and I like that perspective because that's something that's easy to get lost or to lose, is to recognize that we're in the infancy here and it's only going to get better. So that's encouraging. Hey, Rod, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more or connect with you?
Yeah, we love to speak with anyone that's in the commercial real estate business or anyone at all. Is Massimo Massimo .coach, Massimo.coach. You can find us there, all my books out there, and everything else.
Awesome. Well, Rod Santomassimo, I cannot say thanks enough for taking the time to talk. I've enjoyed it, learned a lot, and look forward to doing it again soon.
I got to go back to college and sue for my NIL money now. So I'll be
Yeah, good luck with that. Awesome. All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.
You're listening to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals. For more information on this or any of our guests, like us on Facebook, CREPN Radio.